everybody, welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. Behind me I have two stainless steel pans, two fuel bottles, and two Whisperlite stoves made by MSR. Today's focus of the video today, our topic that we'd like to talk about is a direct comparison of these two stoves. Okay, I'm dealing with the MSR Whisperlite and the Whisperlite Universal. So both of these stoves are going to be burning gasoline, and all I'm going to be doing is talking about the pumps a little bit, talking about the features of stoves and things of that nature. So this stove, let's talk about the Universal real quick. The Universal can use the isopro fuel canisters, which it's a butane / propane mix fuel. You do have to change out the end and put this UC valve basically, and it has beautiful flame control. I might show that a little later in the video. But one thing that I notice right off the bat is that the pot supports on this new stove are amazing. Okay, they're amazing. One of the downsides though is on a small container like this, I had trouble getting it to fit right, because they're a little bit on the small side on the inner diameter. Now the outside diameter, they're quite a bit bigger. Fuel line's a little longer. It is a little more rigid. The jets are easy to change. It's a piece of cake. I really like this new stove. The pump's a little different. Let's talk about the old Whisperlite. I've had this stove for a long time. It's never let me down. I've taken it all over the place, all kinds of trails and backpacking trips. This thing is great. You can hear that. This is a shaker jet model, and so is the new one. You like the way I bit my lip there? Rewind if you missed it. So the pumps, they're almost the same, you know, as far from the top up. They do make the Whisperlite Universal where it will not use the old pump. So what I had to do here is I had to do a little grindage here. I had to remove a little bit of plastic to allow this pump to fit. So it does fit now, but you know, it took a little bit to get it to fit. So I'm like so. Plug it in. You see where the block was coming in contact with the plastic. So from the factory on this, they put this little raised area right here to, and I don't really dig that. I wish MSR wouldn't have done that. It's obvious that they don't want you using the old pump, but there are ways around that. So if you got a grinder, it works great, and I haven't had a lick of trouble. So just thought I'd throw that at you. However, the new pump will work on the old stove. So just like this, you can use the new pump on the old stove, no problem. Now when I'm talking about the pumps, let me talk about a few of the features. Okay, this is the old MSR Whisperlite pump. Now you can see that if you pull this thing out a little bit, you can twist. Watch this real close. Watch right here in this area. Right there. Watch that little red piece back in there. You can twist this and you can pull this pump out. Now one thing I really like about the old pump is the plunger. The plunger on these old pumps is made out of leather. That's really cool. I really dig that. I thought that was pretty cool. Pump works good. The new pump is a little different. You have to line up these words right here, basically with this red piece. So these words right here that you see, these letters or whatever, you line that up here, and then you twist. Then the pump comes off. The pump is rubber. Now, I don't know if I like that or not. I kind of got spoiled to the old leather cup. I thought that was pretty cool. with this new one being rubber. I just, it's gonna take me a little time to figure out if I'm into that or not. Obviously you can see it would be easy to change it out, and that might be why they did it. Might be cheaper to sell a piece of leather. And to put the pump back in, you just get the leather in there. You got to line the pump up to where it's flush, and then these babies will push in, but you got to get it just right. Something like this. There we go. And then it goes in. The pump has a foldable valve on it. The old pump, one of the features I really liked was you don't need any tools to pull this bottom portion off. You can expose the ball and spring on the old pump, and it's literally a ball. It's a rubber ball. So that's pretty cool on the old pump. Again, you don't need any tools. I thought that was a really cool feature. But the new pump, it's a whole different ball game. You have to have a screwdriver and everything to get into that. I don't really particularly care for that design. I don't know, maybe MSR is trying to get us not to mess with their pumps or something. They don't want us taking them apart, I guess. Now this ball, I don't like this either. This ball has a cutout on the back. See, got a hole. It's not a true ball. I don't really know if I dig that either. I kind of like the old way where it's just a ball, because you can put it in there at any angle and it'll fit. I don't know. I'm one of these people that's not really too keen on change. So I mean, for me, if something's working, why change it? That's kind of the way I look at it. I need to pull this back. I don't know if I got that plunger lined up right. That's why I had to take that off. Didn't feel like it was pumping right. So you basically line these things down into the low section down in here, and you push, and it pops right in. So that's the two pumps. As far as the stoves, let's take a look. Okay, let's take a measurement from the tip of one leg to the tip of the other one on the pot supports. Let's see what's going on. The new stove 6.5 inches, the old stove 5 3/4 inches. So the new pot support is much larger in diameter. Now let's do the same thing from the inside to the inside. We're looking at about 2 3/4 versus 2.5. So the inside on the old stove might support these pots a little bit better. No, it's actually kind of dancing around. They're both kind of funny about the inside. So if you got a small cup here like this, and you're going to try to put on the stove, you're going to have trouble. I noticed that there's a lot of aggressive serration here on these new pot supports, and I really like that. The burner heads are about the same. There's not really anything different. The diameter of the burner heads are about the same. They did change from a Phillips screw to a, looks like an Allen wrench, and I agree with that. I think that's a good move because there's not really a need to take that out. Now you can see that the generator tube is a lot larger on this new one, and that's because this is not the international version. If it was the international version, I think the generator tubes would be about the same size. Let's flip them over. Let's take a measurement of the actual line here. If I go from the tip right here of this piece of brass to approximately the tip of the thing, I'm looking at 5 1/4. And then on this one, I'm looking at, oh gosh, about 9 1/2 maybe. So the lines are considerably longer on the new stove. Another thing I like, the primer cup looks identical. The primer cup looks identical. I don't see nothing new, nothing different. However, the disassembly of the stove is amazing. Look at that. The new one, you just pick it out. You stick that thing in there, and then you get your wrench and you take the jet out. It's a piece of cake. Just putting it back together. You don't have to worry about the legs falling off on this new one. The legs, because there's a cotter pin here, or excuse me, a snap ring right there, holds all those legs in together. And the way they close, the way they lock into position is pretty cool. On the old one, they have these little grooves that they click into, and that worked really well. But on the new ones, they don't have anything like that. Just the first leg has it. The second leg will come out, and it has like this little thing right here, and so the leg basically hits it, and then watch, this piece of metal right here is going to hit this piece. Bam! They lock into place very securely. I really like that. So the body of the stove and everything is pretty much the same. Let's measure the bottom of the stove from leg to leg and see what kind of distribution we have as far as what the new one is from outside to outside. We're dealing with about 6.5 on the new one. The old one we're dealing with a little over about 6.25. So we gained a little bit of stability, but yeah, it's a great stove. Let's take a look. Put this baby back together. So you just put the generator loop through, push, push, push. Put your priming cup back on. It's a very straightforward design. I really like the simplicity of the new MSR Whisperlite Universal. It's really good. So you saw how easy it would be to change jets. Let's look at the old one. To change a jet, you take the primer cup off, and you got to unthread all this stuff. You got to go around the maze and hope that you don't lose all your stove legs, because if you lose your stove legs, you're in trouble. They have a certain way that they go on there, and if you get them out of order or get them on incorrectly, you're dealing with trouble. So let's hope that we don't have to deal with those kind of problems. So the stove legs, definitely a huge improvement. Whoops. You can also take the old jet, and you could park it right in here just like that, just like on the new one, and you can use that to hold the jet so that you can take the jet out. I like that feature. Pretty cool. They're both shaker jets too. I like that. Okay, reassembly is very straightforward. It's much easier on the new one, because on the old one you gotta kind of fish it around and hope that you're getting everything right, and it's a little bit confusing if you're not sure how the stove works. But it's not a deal breaker. I mean, if you find a good Whisperlite, buy it. It's a good stove. It's just I'm comparing the new things to the old. Okay, now let's take these fuel bottles, and let's take our pumps, and let's pump these fuel bottles up. They both have gasoline in them. They both have the same amount. We're going to put the old pump in the old bottle with the old stove, new pump in the new bottle with the new stove. Here's the old pump. We'll just start by putting that in like so. Bend that down. Plastic on aluminum. I don't know if I like that. Okay, make sure this valve is off. So we're going to turn this valve off all the way. And while we're at it, let's give it about 30 pumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 30 pumps. Let's do the same thing here. Again, they have the same amount of fuel in them. Same exact fuel. The fuel came out of the same gas can, and I poured it up to this. I poured it roughly up to this line. So from this one, oh, another feature I forgot to mention. This one has a fuel filter. I like that. So you basically start by putting that in. Then you got to bend this thing like 90 degrees. and thread this baby on. Okay, I got a little bit of leakage there. Nothing too bad. Turn the valve off, make sure we're off. Let's give this baby 30 pumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This has more resistance. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this new pump has more resistance. Let's go ahead and insert the pump into the stove, just like so. We're gonna get this thing here, plug it in, bam, flip this over, and it goes right into this little notch right there. This stove is ready to rock and roll. Let's do the same thing with this one, with the old one. Pop that baby in. Bam. Okay, I'm going to kill this light behind me and I'm going to prime these and get them going. I kill that light so that you can see what's going on a little bit better, the flames. So let's start with the old stove. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this valve on, and I'm going to put a small amount of fluid into the priming cup down here. As soon as I get a little bit of fluid in there, I'll turn the valve back off. So I'm just waiting. Do I have a clog? There we go. Sure did. Thank goodness for shaker jets. Turn that off. Let's do the same thing here, so you can see that we have a primer cup full. I'll get a close-up on that here in a second. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to fill the primer cup. Okay, turn that off. Okay, let's take a close look. Let's look real specific at the primer cup. See, I got a little bit of fuel in there. And then let's go over here. See, I have the primer cups full. Now, when I go ahead and light these babies, you're going to see big yellow flames. And that's normal for the priming step. Basically, what I'm doing is right now, this liquid is coming up these hoses in a liquid form. It's going up through the generator loop as a liquid, and it's coming down from the bottom of the stove, coming up out of the jet, and it's spilling over into the priming cup as a liquid. Now what's going to happen, this priming, is I'm going to heat this thing up, this whole stove assembly, more specifically this generator loop. And then what will happen is the liquid fuel will come into here, and when it gets in contact with this heat, it'll vaporize into a gas. So it's no longer going to be a liquid. And then it's going to be shooting gas up through the vent, up through the valve, or excuse me, the jet. But to get that process to work like that, we have to prime, and you're going to see big yellow flames. Don't freak out. So we just basically doing this just to heat them up, just to get things going. And again, this is known as the priming step. Big yellow flames is normal. Once you start noticing that your level of fuel here at your primer cup is getting low, once you start noticing that, it's okay to turn on the fuel valve. But I usually turn them off until I'm ready. Now I know you see a big flame and you're probably wondering, oh man, he's on his reloading bench and he's doing all this stuff. Just to rest your guys' minds, okay, I do have fire extinguisher and things like that very close. So nothing to worry about here. So you can hear this one starting to hiss. That's what we're wanting. That's the process of the stove converting the fuel from a liquid to a gas. When you start hearing them hiss. Once you start hearing that, you can slowly introduce fuel. Hear that hiss? Let's do the old one. So as soon as this goes out down below, you'll notice that you get the nice blue flames up top. It just takes a second. I can tell that the universal primed a little bit quicker. Looks like they're both about ready to go. Which one has more flame control? Let's find out. Let's take a look here. Let's look at this flame. Pretty good little flame. Looks like it has pretty decent flame control. Let's take a look at this one. If you're wanting to do a lot of simmering and stuff like that, what you could do is not put 30 pumps into the fuel tank. Maybe put 10, 15, something like that. And what that'll do is that'll pressurize the tank less. And it'll give you more options to simmer if you know you're going to be simmering. So yeah, they both have pretty good flame control. Okay, I'm going to take these two cans. I'm going to fill them with water. And I'm going to fill them up to this line. We'll do a boil test and see which one likes to boil. We'll see if there's any difference in the amount of time that it takes to boil the water. Looks like those are filled up to about the same level. Let's get both of these stoves cranking up. Full speed ahead. Give it a little shake. Shaker jet, get that thing going. Looks like this old one needs another pump or two. There we go. Thank goodness for shaker jets. Okay. Let's do this to this one just to be fair. Okay. Looks like they're both humming. Now let's take my phone. And we'll get a nice timer here on my clock. And we will count up. Reach around here. And let's start. Let's put this one on. Right there. I don't like the way the pot supports are. They're pretty small. Barely fits on there. Generator tube is too high. I'm just going to let it sit crooked. I'll do the same thing on that one just to make it an even test. They're sitting on the generator tube. Looks like we're starting to show signs of boiling already. See the bubbles? Now we did start with the old stove first. I did some testing earlier with these stoves and it boiled about a minute and 50 seconds, minute 40, something like that, 140, 150, because this ain't that much water. Just to be fair, I'm going to give this one 5 extra pumps, just like I did on the other one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now they both have 35 pumps. You can see all the soot down here. That's from using gasoline. Very dirty on the bottom of your stoves. Looks like they're both just cooking away. Look at those flames. Look at the old Whisperlite is already boiling. There goes the new one. So, from my point of view, my observation anyway, is that they boiled about the same time because I started with the old stove first. Okay, now let's try the flip feature of the fuel canisters. If I flip the fuel canister over, my stove should die. We'll see how that works. Because what it'll be doing is the pump inside will be drawing air instead of liquid fuel. I'm going to pull these off. Set them aside. The old stove just went out, so the flip feature works better. Of course, I flipped it over first, so there you go. And all it's doing right now is depressurizing the tanks. Well, there you have it, folks. A direct comparison between the MSR Whisperlite and the MSR Whisperlite Universal. Let me say one thing, you know, this comparison didn't really show too much because they boiled about the same amount of time, the same amount of water. They both put out an excellent flame. You know, the original MSR Whisperlite was a proven stove. I've had mine for at least 15 years and not once has it given me any issues at all. Not once. So with that being said, you know, I've burned some dirty fuels and that shaker jet, it always seems to clean that line. And I've used gasoline, white gas. I've used you know, gosh, I think at one point I actually burned lamp oil. Not supposed to, right? But I think I did at one point and it worked okay. The point that I'm trying to make though is this is a proven platform, this Whisperlite. So what MSR did is they've taken this proven platform and they've made it better. The new Whisperlite Universal, it has the same power output, but it has a lot of features that make it well worth the money. If you're going to be a person who is just using liquid fuel only, either one of them is going to perform well. The Universal does give you more options as to what kind of liquid fuels you can use. You can use white gas, you can use kerosene, diesel fuel. It's kind of like the old Whisperlite International in that sense, as far as fuels that you can use. But what they've done on the Universal that I really liked was they made it where you can use the MSR isopropyl fuel canisters, and that is really cool. And when you change the jet and you use the fuel canisters, the Universal has beautiful flame control. I mean, beautiful. It just really, down from a simmer all the way up to a rolling boil. So that's one of the big reasons why I upgraded and got that new stove. Now, I'm not getting rid of my old one. You know, I'm going to keep it around because it's never let me down, ever. And I have a very strong feeling that this new one is going to do the same thing. You know, the pot supports are a little bit wider. The foot, you know, the feet, the base is a little bit wider, a little more stable. The field maintenance ability is a lot easier on the new one. So, yeah, I think it's a great stove. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video today. I tried to not be too long-winded. Please feel free, as always, to like, share, subscribe if you like my content, thumbs up. And as always, have a beautiful day. We'll talk to you later.